See, I did it.
Welcome back to 94 Feet, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, the biggest news of the night in 6 games. The Golden State Warriors are your 2022 NBA champions. Danny, I'll let you kind of get into this. I mean, this is a game where it really just felt like experience kind of paid through, in a series where it felt like experience kind of paid through. So let's just hear it. This game six. What were your biggest takeaways for tonight?
Kate, I love the music. Is this a new thing?
Wait, what music?
Or is that just my is that my my computer?
No, it's definitely your computer. I was gonna say that music's been up there the entire time.
It's not the stream.
No, wait. What music are you talking about?
I hear music on my computer, bro, like background
Oh yeah,
music.
that's probably your just your
All
computer then.
right. I don't. Kate, where do we want to start? Do we want to get into the Warriors? Do we want to get into Celtics? I mean, first things first. It's like, okay, we got to start with Steph Curry. I feel like this was Steph Curry's series. Kate, this was 2016 LeBron. He was literally, I don't want to say like carrying, but it felt like he was carrying this team. This was his series. I think he cemented himself as a top 10 player in this league. Cade, you can put him, you can call him best, you can call him second best point guard of all time. I'll maybe behind Magic. There's still an argument, but he's definitely above Kidd, Nash, Stockton. He's only 34 years old. Kate, I'll go through his accomplishments real quick. Um, if I pull them up real quick, Kate, four-time champ. Before KD was there, he won one. With KD, he let KD join the squad. He won two with KD. KD leaves. KD gets swept by the Celtics, and he's won a ring after KD. He got the Finals MVP. 8-time NBA All-Star selection. 8-time All NBA. 2-time scoring champ. Unanimous MVP. Okay, he's a top 10 player.
Oh, 100%. And I feel like that conversation could have been discussed before the series even finished up, you know. I know a lot of people were waiting to see if he'll ever get that finals MVP, if he'll ever win another one. Again, like I said, I just feel like that wasn't necessarily necessary to kind of cement him as one of the best players in NBA history. And realistically, I even thought that he was one of the best point guards in NBA history before the series even started. I think he locked that up back in 2000. I'd say 2018, maybe 2019 when they went to the finals against the Raptors, but more so 2018 after that finals win against the Cavs. But again, I mean, this series itself goes to show just how fantastic of a player he is. He's been able to obviously do it back when he was in his younger years with Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, Andre Iguodala back in 2015 when they beat the Cavs. Obviously, he got that help in 2017 and 2018 with Kevin Durant. And obviously now you see it. I mean, this was the series that really just, I think, kind of set in stone how great of a player he is. I think you're looking at a guy that realistically, I mean, again, like I said, I feel like the debate shouldn't have been there already. I think he was one of the best players in the league, and best players of all time as well. But he needed, to some people at least, he needed that little step of just kind of proving himself in a situation like this. I mean, everybody would always say that, oh yeah, he
And
hasn't
I
gone
think he
to
did.
finals.
I think he
Yeah,
needed
no,
that.
exactly. No, I agree. But a lot of people kept saying that he never had his finals MVP. He never got to that point where he took that team to the finals, but he never made the impact when they were there, which I think you could argue back in 2015 he deserved it over Andre Iguodala. But of course, I mean, like I said, he
Yeah.
finally got it done this time. Finals MVP. I mean, he played his ass off this entire postseason. It's again, like I said, it shows just how good of a team this is, and of course, just how good of a leader Steph Curry has been over the past few years. And now, I mean, again, something that I feel like we could have said before the series, but again, cemented. We can now call this a true dynasty in the NBA. So now you're talking about Steph Curry being a leader on one of the few NBA dynasties in NBA history.
Straight up. I mean, you want to go into the game a little bit, or do you had any major takeaways like that?
I mean, I feel like with the game, or yeah, no, we'll go into the game. Personally, I mean, I thought this was a game that Boston was going to take at home. I mean, we mentioned it. Shoot, this was after Game 4. I had obviously the Warriors taking it at home in Game 5, Celtics Game 6, Celtics in Game 7. Bringing that momentum back to San Francisco with them. Obviously, not the case. And again, as I mentioned, it just seems like that experience kind of just wore down that Boston team. And I thought that was a little bit strange. You know, I felt like this was a Boston team that repeatedly through this postseason, except for that first round series against Brooklyn, got to these game sevens and won these game sevens by wearing down their opponents. But of course, like I said, I feel like experience really showed itself here. And Golden State really didn't budge the way that Boston was expecting. And of course, Golden State took full advantage of that and won the series in 6 here.
I think I would say you could point your finger to maybe just a Boston fatigue. It's like they jumped out to that huge lead in the beginning. It was 14-2. You thought they finally could have something, and it's like they just ran out of gas. I mean, maybe it was the back-to-back 7-game series against the Bucks and the Heat last series. But Kay, you mentioned it's like they just weren't as physical as they were. They didn't want it as much as the Warriors. I look at Marcus Smart, 9 points this game. I can get don't get me started on Jason Tatum, 13 points. Robert Williams, Derek White. What happened to Derek White? We've been waiting for a Derek White game. 2 points. Grant Williams, 3 points. The bench was terrible for the Celtics. I don't have the exact plus minus, but Derek White minus 26. Grant Williams minus 18. Pritchard. They tried Pritchard. Ime Udoka.
There you go. You got it.
He tried Pritchard finally, but in game 7, he did nothing. Kate, it was like I don't know. That the only thing I could say is fatigue, but this Boston team just didn't show up.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, again, you look at that 5 total points throughout the bench, which is inexcusable when it comes to an elimination game like this. I mean, you do have players like Jaylen Brown stepping up and trying to make that happen for that team. But of course, we've seen countless times throughout the series when you don't have that help, especially in a final series like this, you're not going to get the job done. I mean, it happened earlier in the series with Golden State. Curry seemed to be the only one really making shots and actually making plays happen. And Boston was taking full advantage of that. Now it kind of flips over to the other side, or Boston wasn't taking full advantage of the support they had. And Golden State finally found a way to kind of break through. And I mean, one thing also that you mentioned as well, at the very beginning of this finals kind of recap and whatnot, I think it was maybe even our first live stream that we did when we kind of just went into what our predictions were for the NBA Finals, was that you felt that this the route to the Warriors took to the NBA Finals was a little weaker than a lot of people were expecting. I mean, as you saw, they played the the Nuggets first, who had the Memphis Grizzlies in the second round, Dallas Mavericks in the third round, or I guess in the final. I shouldn't say third round,
Yeah.
but
it's like the Nuggets only had Jokic. Ja went out in the second round, and then the Mavs really only had Luka.
Exactly, and I mean they weren't working with a lot of big time names there. I mean, you can. I think all three of those teams, you could argue, all only had one superstar. And the only reason I say argue that is because you might be able to look at Memphis and not call Ja a superstar yet. But of course, he's right on the verge there. But I mean, you look at this now, and as you mentioned, saying that it just seemed like Boston's fatigue kind of was the ultimate demise of that team. You now look back on that now, and you think that that was possibly one of the better situations for the Golden State Warriors to put themselves in a situation to win the title. And now I'm not discrediting them by saying that. I think no matter what, you are going to find difficulties at any stage of the playoffs you get to. So obviously, of course, I mean, it didn't show, but Denver obviously gave Golden State some issues. Memphis definitely gave Golden State some issues. That's where we saw Game 6 Clay. I mean, Dallas had Luka honestly had some big games against the Golden State. So obviously they were able to kind of use those to their advantage. But at the end of the day, when you're only playing 5 or 6 game series, that definitely helps a team kind of keep refreshed and keep going when it comes to getting into the NBA Finals. And of course, like I said, you saw that out of Golden State tonight.
Kade, you mentioned you started a little tease with superstar talk. Kade, my biggest takeaway is Jason Tatum. Kade, I don't like to be wrong, but I was wrong. He's not a superstar. I'll say it. I'll admit it. After the Miami Heat series, after he took down Giannis, he dropped 46 points in that game 6. I mentioned it last show. He helps them beat Miami in 7. I called him a top 5 player in the league coming into this final series. I called him a superstar. But after tonight, there's no superstar written in him. He doesn't have it. Okay, I'm so sorry. It's like all these Kobe comparisons. He wore the wristband. Who does he think he is? Texting Kobe after the game. What did he say? What was that text message?
All right, shoot, I'll pull it up right now real quick.
He texts Kobe in the game. I got next, something like that. He wears the Kobe practice jersey outfit when Kobe tried out for the Celtics to a game 1 press conference. He changes his Instagram profile pic to Kobe. and then he puts up this stinker in Game 6, 13 points. I don't even want to pull up his fourth quarter stats, but he couldn't get a bucket. Wiggins was clamping him up. He had nowhere to go. Jaylen Brown, who, Kate, you didn't even call him a star before the finals started, was carrying Tatum. Al Horford puts up 12 points in the third quarter. It's Jason Tatum's game to take over. It's his turn to take over this game, and he just comes up short. It was embarrassing.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, obviously that help from, again, those big time players for Boston really kind of did diminish their opportunities to win the game tonight. And
No, Tatum. It was all Tatum. I'm
don't
blaming.
see,
I'm
but
putting
that's
the
the
blame
thing.
on Tatum.
I'll give you. I think you do have to put some blame on Tatum. Tatum is that leader on that team. He's a
What
star on
percentage?
that
What
team. He's the
percentage
one.
blame would you give Tatum?
Well, okay, let me check the stats real quick. Because here's the thing, you look at this right now. Robert Williams, I mean, granted, he has been injured throughout the series. He put up 10 points. You have Marcus Smart putting up 9 points. Again, you have an entire bench that really never showed up significantly in the series. They only put up 5 points in today's game. While, yes, Tatum was there and he wasn't really this true Tatum that we saw. At the end of the day, I mean, it's not just on Tatum for this loss. I mean, you have to put this loss on this entire team. Obviously, Jaylen Brown was out there giving it the best he could. But at the same time, Tatum, I mean, he's been that team leader throughout this entire season for the Boston Celtics. And while he didn't necessarily show it here, you also had an entire team that never had any finals experience going into this series. Stuff like this is gonna happen, especially against a team like the Warriors that have this success in the past. I will say this right now. I'm predicting for Tatum's future and Boston's future too. This isn't the last we're going to see of them. They're going to make the adjustments. They're going to use this experience to get back to a position where they can make a deep playoff run again. Maybe find themselves in the NBA Finals as early as next year. You never know. But at the same time, again, like I said, to put all the blame on Tatum, who has been a star this entire series and this entire postseason, and realistically this entire season, to put all the blame on him when it was an entire roster of players that weren't contributing the way they should have. Again, like I said, there's that blame that you can put on Tatum, especially since he is that team leader. But at the end of the day, this is an entire roster that needs to take blame for the loss tonight.
Okay, I won't give it to the entire roster, but I will say I'm still putting majority blame on Tatum. Cade, give me a percentage on how much you're giving on Tatum.
Percentage? You know what? I'll say this. I think. See, it's hard to put a percentage on something like this because, again, I think because he is that team leader, he does kind of have to get a little bit more of that blame just because, I mean, again, like I said, watching that game, it didn't really seem like he was there. He did kind of seemed a little bit overwhelmed and beat by that Warriors roster. I'm not going to put it high either. Honestly, I'd put maybe 25% at most on Tatum.
What, for Game 6?
It's Game 6. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's an
I'm putting like 65, 70% blame on Tatum.
But here's the thing though. If Tatum does go off, don't get me wrong, that game's
then
looking
they win
like
the game. They win the game. I'm telling you, they win
exactly.
the game.
But that's the same thing. If you say that about any other player on that team, they win the game. It was only
he's the number
13-point
one
loss.
Yeah,
okay, but here's the thing.
Though.
Yeah, he's the number one, but that doesn't change the fact that entire team has the potential to put up numbers like that. I mean, we've seen that on Marcus Smart this series. Marcus Smart put up 9 points tonight. I mean, that's nothing for a guy like Marcus Smart. He got locked down. I mean, there's nothing that he was able to do. 4 for 12 on shooting, 1 for 2 from 3. He didn't even take that many threes. And I know he's not the best 3-point shooter, but when you got a guard like Marcus Smart only shooting 2 threes in the game, that says a lot. I mean, granted, you look at Jason Tatum's stat only putting up 1 for 4. I mean, realistically, that entire team did not do well with threes. I mean, they only put up 28 total threes throughout the entirety of the game. The entire roster, they definitely need to step it up there. But at the same time, like I said, you have an entire roster of players who, again, got to the playoffs because of the way they were playing already. Tatum is to blame there, but there were plenty of other players that could have made those contributions and haven't this entire series. So to put the blame, you could put a lot of blame on Tatum for this Game 6 loss, but for the entirety of the series, I feel like that blame on Jason Tatum is a little bit too much, if you ask me.
All right, I'll give you Marcus Smart. I'll give you like 10% Marcus Smart. But all I'm saying is, if you
hold up, we're back. Okay, I don't know what happened, but
okay, I'll give you the Marcus Smart thing. He played terrible. They called him the Defensive Player of the Year. He won that award, and Steph Curry is just getting it by him so easily. Left-handed layup. It was pull-up jump shot. He was a floater, whatever he wanted on Marcus Smart. And then if the screen was set on Marcus Smart, it'd switch everything. He didn't want to fight over the screen. I saw Derek White fighting over the screen. I didn't see Marcus Smart doing that. I'll give you Marcus Smart, but I'm still putting 65% on Tatum. If you're the number one player, if you're the superstar, you're supposed to be a top 10 player in the league, and your co-star gives you 34 points, that's like AD giving LeBron 34 points and then LeBron putting up a stinker. We're all gonna blame LeBron, are we not?
I'll be honest with you, depends on the situation.
All
Because
right,
if
then you have Al Horford. Terrible game 5. He comes back game 6. Everyone's rooting for Al Horford. He gives you 19 points. All they need is 28 from JT. And if you're Kobe Bryant, you're supposed to give them 28. He gives you 13 points. Leads the team in turnovers. And it's not like game 1 where Tatum was he puts up 12 points, I think, in game 1, but he has 12 assists. He was facilitating. He did not want any smoke. He didn't want the ball. I'm telling you, 65% of this blame goes to Jason Tatum.
Like I said, I still got 25. You got an entire roster right there. But again, I'll let you keep 65. I understand where you're coming from. But like I said, there's an entire roster there. When you're in the position with the finals, I've said it consistently. If you're coach in the finals, you start narrowing down that bench. You start relying on those guys that you know are going to get you points. And in a finals game, it doesn't matter if it's game 7. No team can be putting up a stat line like this as consistently as the Boston Celtics did. But yeah, no, I mean, I feel like, again, like I said, this Boston team is going to be back here. It's not the end of what we're going to see from them. It's a very young team. It's a very talented team still. I was going to say, I mean, I'm not saying that they're definitely going to be back here, but I think they've got a solid future ahead of them, I think when you have a team as young as this, you're going to see, I mean, obviously, of course, the biggest question is if they're going to be able to retain the majority of that team, which in my opinion, is happening. It's not necessarily impossible either.
I really think this was this might have been their best opportunity to get a ring, the Celtics team, because if you look at the West next year, the West is only going to get better. The Warriors, I don't want to discredit Curry's ring, but it was they weren't the most difficult team to take down. Is that fair to say, Kade?
The Warriors weren't the most difficult team to take down. Yeah.
Because if you're looking next year, Jamal Murray's back, MPJ's back for the Nuggets, Paul George and Kawhi are back, AD, LeBron, they're back. Are they going to figure out with Westbrook? The West isn't getting easier next year. Does Chris Middleton come back and easily take down the Celtics? The Celtics, they're going to need to make some moves in the offseason, and I think that move is going to be getting a point guard.
Oh, yeah, no, I agree. I think that they do need to make moves. And will I be willing to say if this is the best chance they have? I don't know. I'd like to see what they do in the offseason first. But, yeah, you're not wrong. I mean, every team is going to take the opportunity to get better in the offseason, unless, of course, you are rebuilding. But, of course, in the NBA, you just don't see that much rebuild. There's a lot of teams that are consistently on the verge of getting better and just consistently trying to get better. So, yeah, no, I agree. I think if you're looking at the best chance for the Boston Celtics to win a ring, it would have been now. But of course, that doesn't change the fact that I still think that the Boston Celtics are going to have the opportunity to make deep playoff runs in the future, especially if they are able to keep and retain a lot of this lineup. And I mean, I will say, you do look at parts of this lineup. You got people like Al Horford, which, I mean, he had a good.
How much time did he have?
I was going to say, he did good with Boston this year. Who knows what he's going to really be able to do in the future? You kind of look at that bench, and I mean, there are guys on that bench, man. Exactly, and I mean, there are guys that I think you definitely keep. Like Derek White is a guy that I feel like off the bench has been done really good. Payton Pritchard is a guy that I feel like you can continue to develop, and who knows, maybe in the future he will be one of those players that's going to be a reliable sixth man that can help a team find success off that bench. But I mean, really, outside of those two, you can maybe make an argument for Grant Williams, but even then, the way he's played this postseason, or never mind, not this postseason, but this in the NBA Finals this year, hasn't really been that sufficient for me to make me think that I want to be able to really keep him around. And yeah, like I said, it doesn't matter if you're Golden State or if you're the Houston Rockets or Orlando Magic. If any team wants to get better after one season, they're going to have to continue to evolve their lineup. And I think at this point, yeah, you're right. Boston does need to take the next steps to find a guy that will be reliable enough to help him win a championship. But I told you yesterday, right now, this young core group of players, I still think they're going to be decent. I think they're going to have the opportunity to grow from this experience and actually make the best out of the next few years, depending how they kind of play out the roster in the off season in the future.
I mean, yeah, first year head coach. They still got the pieces. I'm just saying they're gonna need to make some moves. But I want to go back to the Warriors, Cade. You mentioned it a little bit how the Celtics are gonna need to keep evolving, keep improving. And the Warriors, man, this dynasty. Do we want to get into dynasty talk, or should we wait for Sunday? Just this entire dynasty.
A lot. Oh, are you talking? No, let's get into it now. I mean, we're talking about
Okay.
Golden State Warriors winning the championship. I mentioned it at the beginning. I mean, like I said, I would have considered this a dynasty before this finals run. But at the
Yep.
same time, like I said, this win right now. You look into it. I mean, obviously, it again just further cements that this is one of the true NBA dynasties in NBA, or one of the true dynasties in NBA history. And actually, real quick, I'll kind of start off with this kind of too, is that you had the past 2 years where the Warriors didn't make the postseason. They played in the play-in last year, lost to the Lakers in the first play-in game, lost to Memphis in the second. So they didn't necessarily make the playoffs there. But obviously, of course, I mean, this team shows that.
But Steph Curry, he averaged 30 points a game, and he was playing with Juan Toscano Anderson next to him. It was just like you can't even count those years. I feel like
Yeah, exactly.
Clay was hurt, Draymond was hurt.
Yeah, they didn't have that true mold that they had over the past few finals runs. And actually, real quick, something I don't think I'm ever going to say again on this show, but I do have to credit Stephen A. I remember at the very beginning of the season, he did mention how this Golden State team, when healthy, is going to be one of the most dangerous teams in the NBA. And of course, I mean, he was hit the nail on the head right there. Obviously, a healthy Golden State team was the one that won the championship. And of course, I mean, this just, in my opinion, this reads shades of, I just read shades of their former championships over the past few years, starting from 2015 and just going on from there.
I mean, talk about dynasty. It's like before Steve Kerr gets there, they're a playoff team. They're like babies. Steve Kerr gets there, they win a ring. They win two more. They bring in Kade. They become a super team. Everyone knew they were going to win, and they still won. They get the 2 rings with Kade. Kade leaves. And it's like they have an owner that's willing to spend, a GM that knows what he's doing. Clay gets hurt. They try and bring in D'Lo. That was a disaster. And what do? They realize that's a disaster, and they don't keep trying to win with that. They trade him, ship him off, get Andrew Wiggins. Kate, how big was Andrew Wiggins this series?
Yeah, I mean, he was big, and actually, real quick too. I feel like you look back at the trade and you kind of question it because Andrew Wiggins, I feel like, was a guy that really took a lot of time to develop. I mean, coming out of Kansas and playing in Minnesota's first few years, it just didn't really seem like he was making that much of an impact up in the north of the country. And now, obviously, he gets traded to Golden State, and he really just begins to find that rhythm. And of course, as you mentioned, I mean, again, it didn't really seem like he was going to make a massive impact at the beginning of the series, but as he got more comfortable with playing in the NBA Finals, it obviously showed off. And Andrew Wiggins, I mean, if the NBA Finals trophy didn't go to Steph Curry, I think it definitely would have gone to Andrew Wiggins.
Seriously, Game 6 closeout game. He gives you 18 points, 4 threes, 3 blocks, 4 steals. He shuts down Jason Tatum, supposedly the second best player on the court. And it's like they sweep through the West the year that Clay was hurt half the year. Draymond puts up a terrible or he was hurt most of the year as well, and then he puts up a terrible couple finals games, and they still get it done. It's just it goes. They're really the next dynasty. It's a debate if they're still a dynasty, in years to come, or if this is the rear end. We'll see what Wiseman, Kuminga, Moody look like in 5 years from now. But it goes Spurs, Heat, and it goes Warriors. That's the order. That they were really the next dynasty.
Shoot, I mean, I'll be honest with you too. I'm not sure if I'm ready to call it Spurs and Heat a dynasty yet. I mean, if you're talking like true dynasty, that's what I'm saying though, because you look like the true dynasty. Not right now. I don't think they've done. I mean, don't get me wrong; they've won their NBA championships, But the reason I like the way I look at this and this idea of a dynasty is consistent success over just. I mean, again, like I said, the Spurs did pretty good, but again, like I don't know. It's just like the Spurs. I don't think Spurs when I think dynasty. Like I look at the
Okay,
Lakers, I look at the Bulls. Golden State's up there. I like to kind of save that for a little bit more of a
I'm
exclusive tier.
pulling up the stats.
Okay, no, prove me wrong. I want you to, but like again, like I said, I just feel like as of now, and I am probably missing something right there. I bet I'm because didn't Tim Duncan win 5 or something like that?
Tim Duncan won 5. He as a
Okay.
rookie, he yeah, okay. As
Yeah,
a
wait, hold
rookie,
up. Give me the years. Give me the years.
okay, 99, he comes in as a rookie. David Robinson, Tim Duncan, they win the finals. They go conference final or first round, conference finals, semifinals, win another finals. That's when Tim, that's when, another dynasty starts. He kind of
Ooh,
passed the
also,
torch
real
from
quick, remember that was a dynasty that Steve Kerr was a part of too.
Steve Kerr. You're right.
Yeah,
After the
so
Bulls, huh?
exactly.
Okay, shout out to Steve Kerr. He went from Bulls to Spurs to Warriors. Wow, what a legend.
I
They
know.
go, Kate, how is this not dynasty? They go winning the finals, losing in the conference in the semifinals, winning the finals, semifinals, winning in the finals.
Okay, yeah, you got me. Never mind. That was my apology there. Okay, we'll put the
And then
Spurs
a
on
couple
there.
years later, they go lose in the finals, that first year to LeBron, and then winning the finals
Yeah,
again.
there we go. Okay, yeah,
Okay.
no, you got me there. Oh man, I forget. Just the late 2000s was a weird time that I wasn't really following
Okay.
too close. So, but
I'm
yeah,
glad
no,
we're
I
on the
mean,
same page now.
exactly. No, I agree with that. But yeah, again, I mean, you look at this. This is 100% one of the dynasties of the NBA. It goes without saying. You're talking not 6 championships, 6 NBA Finals appearances in 8 years, 4 championships in 8 years. The 2 years that they didn't make the playoffs were 2 years that they were dealing with just heavy injuries. And this again, like I said, I mean, you have these players that just consistently developed around the same group of guys. And even though they did bring in new players and kind of let go of old players that were contributors to this dynasty, that's part of the dynasty. You've got to be able to kind of give up some players and bring some new players in. But at the end of the day, when you keep that 3 main core of Draymond, Clay, Steph, and then obviously always talking about Steve Kerr as a coach, I mean that's just I feel like the definition of a dynasty, and I mean we've seen it unfold in front of our eyes.
Seriously, seriously, I got nothing else to say.
I was gonna say, all right. Also, I gotta bring this up too. You look at a
Okay.
guy like Steve Kerr. Like I said, he played with the Bulls during that dynasty. He switched over to the Spurs and played for the Spurs in that dynasty. Obviously, now you have him as a coach with Golden State, forming that dynasty. Steve Kerr's done. I mean, he's cementing himself as one of the maybe not best players and one of the best players in NBA history, but still one of the most impactful people in NBA history. And real quick, I got to say it as a coach, as of now, seeing where they're at after winning a championship, Steve Kerr, where do you think he ranks as of now as top NBA coaches in NBA history?
NBA he's up there with the greats, is he not? He has to
Well,
be top
100%, but I want to see where
top
you put
3.
him. That's,
I'll
I
go
think, as of now, I would put Phil
Phil,
Jackson 1,
Phil Jackson, Popovich,
Popovich 2, and then
Popovich or
Steve
Kerr.
Kerr. Steve Kerr 3. I give Steve Kerr 3. I think Steve Kerr wins one more with Golden State. You put him 2. I think, but as of now,
Okay.
like I said, I got Phil Jackson, Popovich, Kerr.
Yeah, that's legendary list.
Exactly, and I mean, I don't think anybody's taking down Steve Jackson. The way I mean, of course, obviously with the Bulls and then transferring over to the Lakers and doing the exact same with
And
Shaq and Kobe.
yeah. Is he
It's
over Pat Riley? Well, when he won with Kareem and Magic all those years?
you know, as
He
of
also formed
now,
the Miami Heat. He
he
was the
did form
GM
the
of the
Miami
Miami Heat.
Heat. You're right. See, here's the thing. I think you definitely put him top 5. I don't think he's top 3 though. I think as of now he's behind Kerr. I'd put him 4 maybe. Yeah, I'd say 4. I think that's a pretty fitting spot for him.
Behind Pat
Um,
Riley?
no, Pat Riley would be 4, then Steve Kerr, then
Okay,
Pop,
got you.
then Steve Jackson number 1. Not Steve Jackson. What am I? Phil Jackson. I got the names mixed up. My bad. I said Steve Jackson like 3 times. I didn't even catch myself. Phil Jackson. My bad. But yeah, no, I think, and again, if you want to add Phil Jackson's time as a GM into that. Again, I mean, then you could maybe argue that, but again, like I said, GM's
Oof.
not a coach. Got to put All right, Pat Riley at 4 at the
All
moment.
right.
But again, I will say that if again we're talking most impactful people in the NBA's history, then you could probably put Pat Riley up there. But like I said, I think Steve Kerr's as now a championship away from being the second best coach in NBA history.
Ooh, wow. Second best over Pop. Wow, that might be a hot take,
Well,
kid.
if they win another, I'm not saying he is
Okay,
right now. I'm
okay.
just saying if they win another.
Oh, if
Um,
if he wins another one, okay, I'll probably have to give it to him as well.
exactly, and I mean, I feel like it shows too. I feel like just in the past, again, like I said, he's been a coach that it's this league has shown that it's more than just being a great player to be able to win a
I
championship.
just
So,
I just realized you took Tatum off the top of the
oh no,
the
I put all.
board.
I was gonna say I put all Golden State players. That's why.
Oh, okay,
I was gonna say,
okay.
hey, I got it
Alright.
set up. Hey, the thumbnails all Golden State. I planned out for this. I made sure that I had
Hey,
it
good
both
luck.
set up so that if Golden State won it, I got that all ready to go. If Boston won it, I had all that ready to go. So I had to make
Okay,
sure that
sorry to cut you off.
I was gonna say I had to make sure I gave my flowers to all the Golden State Warriors who won the championship and make sure that they get their own little special background when we talk about them. But yeah, no, as mentioned, I think just going back at it, Steve Kerr has to be one of the best coaches in NBA history, without a doubt. I feel like that debate really isn't even there at this point. I think the only debate that you might have is just where you would place him. And again, like I said, I think 3 is a very reasonable spot. I don't think anybody. Like I said, I think again, you look at the big names in NBA history with the coaches. It's Phil Jackson, Greg Popovich, Steve Kerr. I think those are the top 3 right there.
Yeah, I don't disagree. It's like everyone was so confused when they fired Mark Jackson after they lost to the Clippers. I think they blew that 3-1 lead to the Clippers. They fired Mark Jackson, but it's like, ooh, look what he did with Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. Look what he did. He took them to the semifinals, and they bring in Steve Kerr, first time head coach. He takes them to the finals. Really kicks off this dynasty. I'm not mad if you say top 5, top 3, top 2. Really, he's really cemented himself as for sure a top 5 head coach of all time.
Oh yeah, and I mean just this team in general. I think this is a team that, again, it's starting to give those shades of those true, real big dynasties. Like you look at back at the Bulls dynasty, obviously another, like I said, a dynasty that Steve Kerr was a part of. You have those big time names. In that case, it was Michael Jordan. In this case, it's Steph Curry. You have those stars around him that were actually able to make things happen with Michael Jordan there. In his case, Scottie Pippen. In this case, Klay Thompson. You have those big defensive boards, those physical guys that make things work down low. In the Bulls case, you got Dennis Rodman. In this case, Draymond Green. And then, of course, you have that mix of players that come in and out of the system that, again, make these championships work. And you saw that all throughout the Bulls dynasty in the 90s. And you're seeing this now with the Golden State dynasty that we have today.
I should have seen it coming, Kate. I can't believe we both took the Celtics in 7, man.
But here's the thing is that you look at the way the Celtics played this entire postseason, and there was that rhythm of you start a series at kind of shaky at first, going back and forth, but it just seemed like the Boston Celtics were wearing down teams. And again, like I said, you look at the beginning of the series, the Celtics were the better team. They played better. They felt like they were more ready to be there. They seemed a little bit fresher and a little bit more almost playing like they really wanted it more. And of course, like I said, I don't know exactly what happened in the series to kind of see that momentum change. But at the end of the day, like I said, it just seems like that experience with Golden State kind of took over. And at the end of the day, like I said, that really played the biggest role in this series and gave Golden State their 4th championship in 8 years.
I mean, I hate to just keep bagging on the Celtics, but you win game 1, you lose game 2, you say, all right, you win game 3. It's like, okay, we can go up 3-1 at home, and then you lose 3 straight. Oh, I'm just heartbroken. Broken to close off the showcase. I know we're going long, but Boston just had some terrible stretches of basketball where I was watching not even game 6, but even their games they won. It was like, how is this offense in the NBA Finals? I'm so disappointed. I really thought I had it with Celtics in 7.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think again, they looked good at the beginning, kind of fell apart there. Again, all kudos to this Boston team, though. obviously didn't start the season the way they felt like they wanted to. They went into the
That's true.
new year with a losing record, was able to turn it around, and now they're in the NBA Finals. So I think as a Boston fan, obviously I'm not gonna. I mean, let's be honest here. As a Boston fan, this is just another Finals loss. You know, they've had so many Finals wins, so many championships throughout different sports that this one isn't going to be remembered for them. It's just going to be another one in the books, and they're going to look on to see what the next championship they can win, no matter what sport it is. But again, like I said, I think this team has a lot of potential if they are able to develop in the future. If they do keep a lot of that lineup, they're going to be good, and I think in the future they'll be fine. But again, like I said, the story of tonight: Golden State winning the NBA Finals for the 4th time in 8 years, and hey, it's cemented. Steph Curry is a top 5 player, maybe a top 10 player. My bad. Steph Curry is a top 10 player. Steve Kerr is one of the best coaches in NBA history. This is a true dynasty. I can't say in the making anymore because it is truly a true dynasty in the NBA. But yeah, do you have anything else to say to kind of finish up the show?
All I gotta say is it was a rough night tonight, Cade. I watched my Celtics take an L, and then I throw on the Drake album, and I just say, man, what am I listening to? This
Hey,
is another
you know
L.
what? I gotta say this too. What's up with Drake dropping albums right around the NBA playoffs? Because if I remember correctly, back in 2019, he dropped 2 songs right after the Raptors
Okay,
won, which makes
it was the
sense. I
Raptors
mean,
though. It was the
exactly,
Raptors.
like that makes sense though. But I'm pretty sure even after that, he released an album pretty like soon right after that. Then of course now, night of Game 6, he drops an album. So I mean, I just a weird coincidence I've noticed, but
Yeah.
yeah. So again, shoot, there's something you said that I want to kind of touch on too, but yeah, I mean, oh, actually, no, now I remember now. I think the toughest part that's going to be the worst thing kind of waking up to is the fact that the NBA season's over. There'll be a
Hey, we
long
got
next
the
few
NBA
months.
draft coming soon though.
Exactly. So on Sunday's show, we'll dive into that, kind of break down what we think is going to come out of the NBA draft. Can't say I'm the biggest basketball head, all right, college basketball head, but yeah, we'll definitely try making that work. Obviously, of course, free is also going to be fantastic. There's going to be some good names moving around this season. We've already had some big trades before the draft, so again, like I said, the season might be over, but the news ain't stopping. It's still gonna be a great opportunity to discuss some NBA talk throughout this offseason. So
And we'll eventually get
thank you.
into some fashion talk and sneaker talk, Cade. It's been a while.
Hey, I was gonna say I mentioned it to you, but for the next show, what we'll end up doing is we'll be doing for the fit of the week, it'll be fit of the finals instead, going through all the finals fits, seeing which one we thought was best. And then we'll also dive into the best shoes that we saw throughout the NBA finals. But again, like I said, we'll save that for next episode. But that'll be it for us tonight. Thank you everybody for tuning in. I mean, again, like I said, we started this back in January. We finally got to the end of the NBA season. It's been a fantastic run so far. Obviously, of course, it's the off season, and we're going to make the best out of it now. But like I said, thank you guys for tuning in. If you haven't followed us on social media yet, follow us at 94 feet. It's down the ticker on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and we'll be back Sunday night. So make sure that you keep along for the ride. Have a great night, y'all.